Next up, we're going to talk about the district court judge. So please welcome up Paula Baker-Mathis and Geoffrey Nolan.
Thank you again for having us and the candidates all here. JC's, this is always a nice opportunity to get to know people that we don't normally see. My name is Paula Baker-Mathis. I am running for district court judge. A little bit of my biography is that I graduated from Tulane University back in 1990. I attended Cooley Law School and graduated with honors in 1993. After a short stay in Colorado where I did some pro bono work, I returned to the state of Michigan and worked in Escanaba, Menominee, Marquette, and Manistee as a legal aid attorney for 4 years. I then came to Muskegon in 2000 and worked with the prosecutor's office here. I worked in the prosecutor's office for 10 years where I did just about everything that a prosecutor could do, whether it was a PPO hearing, a child support hearing, misdemeanor cases, felony trials, as well as juvenile delinquency and neglect abuse cases. So I've handled every type of case that they handle. I also practiced in private practice with a couple of law firms, one in Holland, one here in Muskegon. And 2 years ago when Commissioner Mahoney and his other commission, Commissioner Nolan and Sabo, all voted to start the Public Defender's Office, I joined the Public Defender's Office in 2014, where I've been handling primarily criminal cases, felony and misdemeanor cases. I've handled any type of case that a district court judge would handle and beyond. I've tried murder cases and I've had hearings on dog tickets. So as well as landlord-tenant eviction cases and small civil lawsuits. So I've handled everything that a district court judge has. I've got over 22 years of experience as a practicing attorney. And what inspired me to run for this position is that for the last 7 years, I've been working with Judge Waringo in his sobriety court program. And I started there in the prosecutor's office and stayed afterwards because the judges asked me to. And I've seen how the criminal justice system has had a positive impact on people. Usually we think of them, we lock them up, we slap their hand, give them a fine, and go on your way. And maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. But with the sobriety court program, I've watched these individuals who have struggled with their sobriety, who have been convicted of drunk driving offenses, repeated drunk driving offenses, work through that probation program and get sober and become contributing members to our society. And the changes that they have made in those programs, in that particular program, is quite impressive. And I think that we need to do more of that, especially with our opiate problem here in the county at this point in time. So that's what inspired me to run for the position.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Take about 2 minutes.
Sure. Again, also thank you, JC's, and thank you, Tim, for moderating, and everyone for being here. My name is Geoffrey Nolan, and candidate for the 60th District Court Judge position that's being vacated by the retiring Judge Waringo. A little bit about myself. I am married to my wife, Britt, who is a critical care nurse at Mercy Hospital. Together, we have 3 children, 8, 7, and 13 months. I graduated from Western Michigan University, getting my undergraduate degree there, and going on to Detroit College of Law at Michigan State University, graduating with honors from there in 2001, and have been in private practice here in Muskegon County at Nolan, and Schaefer ever since. The last 12 of those years as a partner. In that time, I've handled every case that could be handled in the district court. In a case some of you aren't aware, the district court handles all misdemeanor cases, the first phases of felony criminal cases, civil cases involving amounts of $25,000 or less, landlord-tenant cases, small claims cases, traffic offenses, and all of the exception of small claims court cases. Those are all cases that I've handled. Some quite regularly, most quite regularly. In law school, I was involved in a rental housing clinic and have friends now that are landlords and subtenants and help them out when necessary. But the majority of my work has been personal injury and criminal work. The reason I'm running is I think our county needs good judges. We deserve to have good judges. It's important to have a judge that's fair and impartial, and that's going to listen to people and treat everybody in front of them with courtesy, with respect, and to give everybody their due time in front of them. And most people in the county have no idea who we are, as much as we like to think everybody knows us. And so as I was running, I'm thinking, what's the best way to show how you can be fair and impartial? And that is really to try to get a consensus from people that normally can agree on nothing. And in my endeavor to do that, I've been fortunate and honored to receive endorsements from both sides of the aisle, including the Muskegon County GOP, as well as 6 labor unions, including the Service Employees Union, the SEIU, which is the largest employer of union people in the county, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Operating Engineers, Boiler Makers, Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, etc. I guess I'm being cut off now, so I'll stop.
Yeah, I have a question about the from the outside looking in, the perspective of ethics violation from the endorsement that Mr. Nolan received from the 5 attorneys that are supposedly his peers, and it was held at his own law office. So I want to know if that was an ethics violation, and if not, why do you think it's not?
Geoffrey, why don't we address that?
Yeah, well, I guess first, that was done by the bench bar committee, which I was not a part of. And that was not handled at our office, contrary to your assertion. That was handled, those meetings were done in the courthouse on the 6th floor. So, no, I don't believe that those were an ethical violation. That was a group of attorneys that got together to decide to rate the attorneys and invited all of us to attend.
Would you like to respond?
I can comment a little bit on it in that I did not attend the interview because of a number of things. Initially, the invitation was sent by the bench bar committee of our bar association, the Muskegon Bar Association. The day before the interview, I received a phone call from the bar association telling me that this was not a bar association function. It was not sanctioned by the bar association, and they were not going to, they wanted the Muskegon Bar Association name to be removed from that particular event. And I had a subsequent meeting with the person who organized it, who said, well, it was never going to be a bar association function, despite the fact that my email invitation said that it was from the bench bar committee of the bar association. Additionally, the interview was moved into the county building on the 6th floor, which creates issues for me as a county employee in that I'm not allowed to do campaign activity on county property. And so it prohibited, it was very difficult for me to negotiate all of that within a short period of time, and as a result, I did not participate in the interview. Whether it's an ethical violation, I will leave that to others to decide.
Thank you. Could we have another question from the audience? Yes, sir.
From my experience, that once, especially young children, kind of get caught up in the system, it's very difficult for them to get out. You know, I was wondering, what are some ways that you guys maybe propose alternate solutions to keep young children maybe out of, the juvenile system, or if that's even an option? Just wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, the district court deals with children who are 17 and above. So young children, if you're referring to 17-year-olds.
Or maybe even adults, everybody, I guess.
Is younger than that goes to probate and family court. But we deal with individuals who have been charged with crimes from age 17 and on, although I believe the legislature is considering changing that to age 18. But I see it on a regular basis. I saw it when I was in the prosecutor's office, I saw it in private practice. I see it more now as a public defender, in that I see these young kids coming into the system who get stuck in a cycle of poverty, in that they get convicted of a shoplifting crime, and then they have to pay fines and costs and pay for their probation. And then they're young and they have to go to school, and that's what we want them to do, is to go to school, because that's the biggest indicator that they're not going to go commit more crimes. Unfortunately, they have this fine and cost hanging over their heads. And I think that we need to build in alternatives to the fines and cost schedule and allow other alternatives for them. There is the community service option that is out there that the judges have the discretion to use. And I think that it needs to be used more often, because I think that community service is a way for them to give back to the community rather than paying through fines and costs. We do also have alternative program or treatment courts in our system that we have in all of the courts, whether it's a mental health court, we also have a veterans court, and we have 2 sobriety courts for the drunk drivers. We need to look into other options for young people or indigent people to deal with this cycle of poverty, because we can't use the jail as a way to lock people up because they're poor. That's prohibited. I hope that answers your question.
Jeff, would you like to respond?
Sure, thank you. As Paula said, when you're talking about young children, that's handled in the juvenile court setting. In that regard, that we would not be, whoever is elected would not be handling those types of cases, but just so you're aware, they do have what's called a consent calendar in the juvenile court, which is sort of what I would call a diversion type probation, where if they are able to successfully complete that, it gets taken off of their record. I see Mr. Delpando here, he's a former juvenile probation officer, so maybe afterwards we can talk to him a little bit more about that. I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you about that. But also then in the district court, there are 4 specialty courts, 2 sobriety courts, a veterans court, which was actually started by my uncle, and a mental health court. I would like to see a drug court as well instituted, although with budget cuts and how that funding would go, even keeping the 4 that we have now is becoming, I think, somewhat of a concern to people. But I'd like to see them all continue. I'd like to see a drug court added if possible. But also in addition to that too, there are certain statutes which allow people to correct their record, such as what's called Homes Youthful Training Act, or YTA, or HYTA, or HIDA, however you want to abbreviate it, which is again a diversionary type program, which could allow a record to be somewhat clean, as well as request for expungement. So those are all ways that ideally can help people not rescind.
All right, thank you too. That's our time. I'd like to thank Paula and Jeff. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you.